Hi. All right, so before yesterday, I was a 140 conference virgin. And I need to tell you, I am addicted. So you will see me wherever you 140 people go. So here I am. I'm a real person. I'm not an avatar. Imagine that. And like you, I'm here because of social media and because of Jeff Pulver. So my 10 minutes are going to be about how I got here on this stage, what it has taught me, and I really hope that it means something to you. So lots of people are concerned about what social media is doing to our culture. And I get that there's all this noise that's out there. A lot of it isn't worth hearing. Of course, we can be spending these 24 hours a day on Facebook or on Twitter. So it makes sense that when people like Sherry Turkle argue that digital media takes away from the intimacy of our relationships, I think there's more to it. So maybe social media could become this replacement for human interaction, but that's been said about a lot of other inventions. People said that about email. They certainly said that about the telephone. For me, social media has become this exciting new way to actually connect with new people and to make these connections happen in real life. And in part, that's very much because of my connection to Jeff. So our connection started on Twitter. Surprise, surprise, right? And at the time, my life in every dimension was unsettled, unusually complicated. I was going through work decisions. I was evaluating my own life and what I wanted from it. But most importantly, at this time, I was hurting. Because a dear child to my family, Max, my neighbor's son, he was diagnosed with a very rare and terminal disease. So Tiffany was on an emotional roller coaster, and I didn't think any of that showed, right? So I had this online persona, and I didn't think anybody knew that I was hurting. And I was thinking of social media as this lifeless commodity, right? This thing that, I'd use for professional transactions, and it was empty for me. And until I actually got contacted by Jeff, did I start to think about the broader applicability of what this connectivity can mean for us as people. And Jeff reached out to me at this point in time, and somehow he knew that I needed help. And in this surprisingly human way, in a way that I wasn't sure at the time was okay, right? He was this guy on Twitter, and I didn't know him, and I was like, this is weird for me, it's out of my comfort zone. But for some no logical reason at all, I said yes, and I am so glad that I did. And over our first lunch, Jeff shared with me the story of his life. And you probably remember this moment. We found ourselves essentially strangers in the real world, crying over pasta on the Lower East Side. And at that moment, I got a glimpse of Jeff's soul. I felt that, and it got me thinking, gosh, there's these real people behind these avatars that we're interacting with all day long. And I know how freaking obvious that sounds, right? But for some reason, this revelation about this connection to people really took me by surprise. And Jeff said so many things to me that day. But the one that stands out for me that I want to share with you is when he said, Tiffany, I want you to be happy. And I want you to find happiness, and I want to help you. This man I hardly knew was volunteering to help me change my life. And if you know Jeff, obviously, the theory that believing in someone is the greatest gift that anyone can give. And this man's words had such a profound impact on me exactly at a time in my life when I absolutely needed them. So once I began to understand all of this and what Jeff was teaching me, I started to really tune in. And it started to get really meaningful for me, this social media connection thing, because I started to to tune into what people were offering online. And I found that so many of them were offering parts of who they are, parts of their soul. So that's what I mean by this idea. The social soul is transparent. I'm not talking about, right, the soul of media, right? I'm talking about us. I'm talking about all of us and our souls and what this can mean for us. And I think that we either intentionally or subconsciously are revealing some of the deepest parts of ourselves when we're communicating online. And because we can be seen in these new ways, we've got these amazing opportunities to be, connected to new people and authentically touched by people like never, ever before possible. And, personally for me, I find that to be so powerful. So these connections, whether they're in real life or online or phone or whatever, I think they have power. I think they have the power to help, to hurt, to heal, to anger, to inflict, distract, attract, engage, all these words on and on, right? They have power because these connections are fundamentally human. And I think if we are really open to this, that social media can enhance our lives. Like falling in love at first sight, or bumping into a long-lost friend, or whatever serendipitous real-world connection that you might experience. And you can use it to reach out to people that inspire you, who've got this ability to really shape the way that you think and you act and you feel. And for me, that has absolutely been the case. So I'll share 2 quick stories. I have 3 minutes. Okay, so Max, my neighbor's son, who I mentioned earlier. My family and I, we were watching a beautiful 7-year-old boy die. And that was heart-wrenching. And I felt that my children, they needed me to keep it together, but I also realized that in those moments, I really needed that support too. And in these awful, couple of months, despite the real-world support that I had with all my friends and my family, taking care of me, I found this unexpected comfort on Twitter. So let me explain a little bit what I mean. So in the last couple of weeks when we were losing Max, each day I would start my day on Twitter by seeking out Liz Strauss's photo of the sunrise on Lake Michigan. Is Liz here? Where's Liz? Wherever you are, Liz, thank you. Thank you for giving that to me. So I'd start my morning and I'd seek out the sunrise of this photo, and the message that my soul got from those images that Liz shared with me was that life goes on, and no matter how painful, that sun is going to continue to rise, right? It's going to continue to rise for us. So it's very powerful. Another story involves Deepak Chopra. I know he'll be here later today. That'll be the highlight for me, I think. I've never met him in real life, and he's been a positive voice in my life for many, many years. And he shared something that really struck me. He said, whatever relationships that you need in your life at this moment are precisely the ones that you need, you've attracted, you need in your life at this moment. And for me, he's been completely right. And I really think that's because that's why Jeff found me. It's why he found me. And I think if I wasn't connected to Jeff or Liz or so many of you who I've gotten to meet just over the past day, how different would my life be? For one, I wouldn't be standing here sharing this story with all of you. So I think this stuff has like a lot of power and a lot of potential. And I do believe that our souls, in these social interactions, they are transparent because we're living online now. And we're sharing ourselves, our thoughts, our desires, and we want them to be received and reciprocated, because that connection for us, that connection's really what life is all about. And I think it does have that power. It has that power, but it also has the potential to become just another empty distraction. So that space between celebrity gossip and meaningful engagement, real engagement that means something to us, is up to us. And I think it depends on how we use it, and for sure, I think we can use it for good. So my final 4 messages, okay? Set an intention when you use social. Do your professional stuff, but then please try to touch someone's soul, or let them touch yours. Be courageous, be open to these new people and new experiences, because it's really beautiful. 3, carry the message of this conference. We can build a more soulful world if we do. And lastly, let's never doubt together that a group of dedicated and like-minded people can change the world, because in the end, it's the only thing that ever has.